Lisa meets Dracula, 1455, Wallachia. The land was lifeless, filled with eerie silence, broken only by the distant flapping of bats. Scattered across the barren ground were horrifying sights, skeletons impaled on wooden stakes, their empty eyes staring into the void. It was a chilling warning to anyone who dared to enter this cursed place. But one woman walked through it, undeterred. Her steps were steady, her heart fearless, even as the cold wind whispered of the terrors ahead. Then she saw it. A massive castle rising from the darkness, standing alone in the wilderness like a fortress of stone and shadow. It was enormous, almost unreal, as if it had stood for centuries untouched by time. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward and knocked on the towering iron gate. Silence. Then, with a deep groan, the gate creaked open on its own. She entered cautiously, her footsteps echoing in the vast, empty hallway. The flickering torches on the walls cast long shadows, and the ceiling stretched impossibly high. Everything felt too big, too hollow, built for something far greater than an ordinary man. Suddenly, the doors behind her slammed shut. And then he appeared. A tall figure, barely visible in the dim light, stood still in the distance. Lisa stepped forward, her voice steady. "My name is Lisa. I am from the village of Lupu. I want to be a doctor." Then, in an instant, he was gone. A deep, smooth voice echoed through the hall. "You knock on my door because you want to smear chicken blood on peasants?" Lisa turned, scanning the shadows, her expression calm despite the chilling presence. "Don't mistake me for a witch," she replied. "Everyone else already does that." A low chuckle drifted through the air. "I believe in science," she continued, "but I need to learn more. I've run out of options. The stories say the man who lives here holds knowledge no one else does." Then, without a sound, he appeared behind her. A pale hand rested lightly on her shoulder. Lisa didn't flinch. "I am Vlad Dracula Tepes," he said, his voice smooth yet commanding. "I do not get many visitors. What will you trade for my knowledge, Lisa from Lupu?" She turned to face him, her gaze unwavering. "Maybe I could teach you some manners," she said. "I've entered your home and you haven't even offered me a drink or taken my coat." A single eyebrow lifted in amusement. "What if I took a drink from you?" he mused darkly. "Or did you come prepared with silver crosses and garlic?" Lisa smirked. "I might have eaten garlic earlier," she admitted. "Was that rude?" Dracula exhaled a quiet laugh, a rare sound even to himself. This woman was different, unlike anyone he had met in centuries. "I don't believe in superstition," Lisa continued. "I don't want to be some old woman fooling people with herbs and charms. I want to heal. I want real knowledge. Will you help me?" Dracula circled her slowly, his crimson eyes studying her. He had lived for centuries, seen empires rise and fall, witnessed human brilliance and cruelty. But this woman, she was something else. "You are different from most humans," he admitted. "Maybe I can teach you to like people again," she suggested, "or at least tolerate them, or stop putting them on stakes." Dracula chuckled, a real, genuine laugh. "I gave that up long ago." The air between them shifted, no longer tense, but filled with curiosity. "Where is Lupu village?" he asked. "You don't travel much, do you?" "I can travel," Dracula said. "This castle is a machine." "But you don't," Lisa noted. There was something strange in this conversation, two beings, worlds apart, yet drawn to each other. "Maybe you should," she suggested. "The world is changing. Travel like humans do. You might like it." Dracula studied her. "I have known you 2 minutes, and already you offer me a human life while I give you the knowledge of immortals, the true science." Lisa smiled. "They won't live in fear if they have real medicine. They won't be superstitious if they understand how the world works." Dracula regarded her carefully. For the first time in centuries, a human had surprised him. "Why should I do that?" he asked. Lisa stepped closer, her eyes steady. "To make the world better," she said. "Start with me, and I'll start with you." A long silence stretched between them. Then Dracula's lips curled slightly. "I think I might like you," he murmured. And with that, the fate of Wallachia was sealed. After 20 years, Targovist, Wallachia, 1475. Lisa was tied to the stake, accused of witchcraft, and set on fire. The flames burned fiercely, sending smoke rising into the sky. The priests stood nearby, chanting in their solemn voices. The bishop, holding a wooden cross, didn't flinch as he watched her suffer. The mayor beside him seemed uneasy, but his words still held doubt. "So you saw these devil tools in her house?" the mayor asked, his voice low. "Cold, yes. Glass thin as paper. Strange tools, witches' tools," the bishop replied, not looking away from Lisa. The mayor swallowed, glancing once more at the burning woman. "And it had to come to this?" he asked, his tone laced with hesitation. "She called it science, Mayor. Lisa Tepes of Lupu was so far gone. She could not see that it was all given to her by Satan. I've made some small study of chemical sciences myself." At last, the bishop turned, his gaze pinning the mayor in place. "Just a study, of course," the mayor hurriedly corrected. "I'd never think to practice such things." "The archbishop would prefer that life in Wallachia be kept simple," the bishop said. "Simple." In pain, another scream, her body arched, the ropes biting into her wrists. Desperate! Lisa's breaths came in ragged sobs. She lifted her head, eyes searching the sky, searching for something beyond the mortal realm. "Don't hurt them," she cried. "They don't understand." Who is she talking to? "I believe she's exhorting Satan not to take revenge on us." Almost commendable for a witch. Smoke filled Lisa's lungs, her body convulsing as she coughed, her vision blurred, the faces in the crowd melting into darkness. Yet she clung to her last breath, to the last sliver of hope. "I know it's not your fault, but if you can hear me, they don't know what they're doing." The fire raged. The sky remained silent. Dracula learns of Lisa's death. The sky hung heavy, thick with the promise of an approaching storm. Thunder rumbled distantly, rolling over the horizon like a warning, but Dracula did not heed it. His steps were slow, measured, as he followed the familiar path that had once led him to warmth, to home. But what greeted him was nothing but ruin. Where Lisa's house had once stood, where her laughter had once filled the air, now lay only devastation. The walls had crumbled, the roof collapsed, and the foundation had turned to scattered debris. The scent of burnt wood still lingered in the wind, faint but undeniable. For a long moment, Dracula stood motionless, his crimson eyes scanning the wreckage. Then, from the shadows, an old woman appeared, clutching a bundle of wildflowers. "Are you Mr. Tepes? She talked about you," the woman whispered, her voice carrying quiet sorrow. Dracula's gaze turned sharp. "What happened? Where is my wife?" The woman swallowed, avoiding his gaze. "The bishop took her. Witchcraft," he said. The world seemed to freeze. "They're burning her at the stake." Dracula stood still, his fists tightening. The words landed like a funeral bell tolling in his heart. "Where are they holding her? The cathedral?" The woman hesitated. "She'll be dead by now." A drop of blood-red tears fell from his eye, staining the ground below. She said to me, "If you would love me as a man, then live as a man." "Travel as a man!" The woman nodded weakly. "She said you were traveling?" A bitter smile, empty of warmth, curled at Dracula's lips. "I was, the way men do, slowly." But then his expression darkened. His eyes burned with something ancient and unfathomable. No more. The wind around them shifted, heavy and thick with energy. Dracula's presence grew, towering and intense. "I do this last kindness in her name. She who loved you humans, who healed your sick, who tended to your wounds. Take your family, leave Wallachia tonight, do not look back." The air around them dropped in temperature, though it burned with an unseen, unnatural fire. Without warning, flames erupted. Fire twisted around Dracula, scorching the air as the earth trembled beneath him. "For no more do I travel as a man." And then, in a flash, Dracula was gone, swallowed by the fire, leaving only embers and ruin. The curse of Wallachia. Laughter still echoed as Lisa's body turned to ash, carried away by the wind. The flames died down, but the revelry continued. Cheers, applause, drunken satisfaction. "Ah, there! Quite a show! Drink?" The mayor, pleased with the outcome, turned to the bishop. "I should minister to the archbishop. He won't last long." The bishop waved him off, his mind already elsewhere. Off to heaven with him, eh? The mayor smirked. Wallachia could be God's own country, if only I had more time to burn out the evil hiding here. The bishop's eyes gleamed with cold ambition. Then, without warning, the flames surged back to life. A monstrous inferno erupted from Lisa's pyre, twisting unnaturally, turning blood red. The cheers turned to gasps of unease. The fire thickened, rising into the air, taking shape, a face towering, monstrous, seething with fury, and then it spoke. What have you done? The voice wasn't booming. It was vast, suffocating, pressing against their chests like a heavy storm. Satan! The mayor stumbled back in fear, whispering in nomine patris et filii. The bishop gripped his cross in terror. Then the shape fully emerged from the flames. Not myth, not legend, Dracula. What have you done to my wife? His voice was venomous, dripping with fury. She was a witch. The bishop's breath hitched. Lisa Tepes was a healer, the one thing that justified your kind's existence. Dracula's burning eyes narrowed. You are a fiction. The bishop, steadying himself despite the terror rising in him, sneered. A fiction? You take my wife and deny I exist. I give you 1 year, Wallachians. 1 year to make your peace. 1 year to remove every mark you have left upon this land. 1 year, and then I will erase all human life from Wallachia. Dracula repeated, each word a hammer strike to their very souls. You took that which I love. The flames spiraled, twisting upwards like tendrils of fury. So I will take everything from you. Dracula's eyes blazed with an unearthly light. The cathedral windows shattered in a wave of sound. And everything you have ever been. His words were like thunder. Then the sky cracked open with an unimaginable force. Fire rained down from the heavens. Screams filled the night as the fire spread. The mayor cowered. The bishop fell to his knees, but there would be no salvation. Not tonight. Not ever. Inside the castle, the once grand walls now seemed to tremble with the fury of their master. Dracula, his mind consumed by rage, is destroying everything around him. With each furious strike, vases and bookshelves shatter, furniture splinters, and stone cracks. The fire in his eyes reflects the chaos he's unleashing on his surroundings. He glares at the ruins of his home, as if trying to physically tear apart the remnants of his shattered world. 1 year, he roars, his voice reverberating through the cold stone. 1 year! It will take me 1 year to summon an army from the guts of hell itself. Suddenly, he's interrupted by a calm, almost chilling voice. No. Alucard, his son, steps forward, his figure cutting a stark contrast to the chaos around them. His expression is unreadable, yet his eyes speak volumes, a mixture of sorrow and determination. What do you mean, no? Dracula growls, his fists clenched. That woman was the only reason on earth for me to tolerate human life. Alucard, however, stands tall, unmoved by his father's fury. Then find the one who did the deed, he says. If you lose an army of the night on Wallachia, you cannot undo it. Many thousands of people just as innocent as her will suffer and die. There are no innocents, not anymore. Dracula's eyes flare with anger, his voice trembling with barely contained rage. Anyone could have stood up and said, no, we won't behave like animals anymore. Alucard takes a deep breath, his expression softening just slightly, though his resolve remains unshaken. I won't let you do it, he says, his voice resolute. I grieve with you, but I won't let you commit genocide. Dracula's rage boils, and in a blur of motion, he lunges at Alucard. Blood splashes across the floor as they collide. The Wrath of Dracula, 1 year later. Targovist, Wallachia, 1476. The streets of Targovist buzzed with nervous excitement. A crowd gathered near the towering church spires, murmuring in hushed voices. Their eyes turned toward the bishop, carried through the square in a sedan chair like a king. His robes were worn with age, his face etched with years of service, yet he basked in the people's applause, raising his arms with a weary but proud smile. Ah! For 20 years have I served you and God as the Archbishop of Targovist Cathedral, yet never before have I felt the love of God shine so upon this great city. A little more than 1 year ago, many of us suffered a vision during the God-willed punishment of a witch in our midst. The devil himself came to us and threatened us with doom in 1 year. And yet, here we are. The people listened intently, their faith unwavering, and their eyes gleamed with a mix of admiration and fear. The devil lied. Why should we be surprised? Do we not know the devil for a liar? Do we not know his works to be illusion? Of course we do. Illusions and falsehoods hold no fear for us, for we are the righteous of Targovist, living as if cradled in the love of God. The crowd erupted in applause, believing in the bishop's words, their faith unshaken by the terror that had once haunted them. But then, something happened. A drop of blood fell from the sky, landing on the bishop's hand. The sky darkened. A black cloud rolled in, suffocating the daylight. And then the blood rained down, not as a trickle, but as a torrential storm, drenching the streets. Panic spread through the crowd like wildfire, and shouts filled the air as people scrambled in all directions, trying to escape the unnatural storm. But it wasn't just blood. Flesh from strange, small creatures rained down, splattering the ground, a grotesque sight that turned the city into a macabre scene of horror. The earth trembled, and windows cracked under the pressure, sending jagged shards into the crowd. One such shard struck the bishop in the back, and he fell to the ground, his vision swirling as he struggled to breathe. The flames erupted from the ground, swallowing the church whole. A massive face formed entirely from fire appeared in the flames. Its eyes burned with an unholy rage, and its voice thundered through the inferno. 1 year. I gave you 1 year to make your peace with your God. And what do? Celebrate the day you killed my wife. 1 year I gave you while I assembled my armies, and now I bring your death. You had your chance. The flames grew more violent, expanding outward, consuming everything in their path. The fire spread like a tidal wave of destruction, leaving nothing but ashes in its wake. Then, as the flames roared in fury, a massive castle emerged from the smoke and fire, appearing as if from nowhere. Dracula's castle, dark and foreboding, towered above the ruins. From its gates, a creature emerged. It was monstrous, a grotesque fusion of bat and dog, with large, leathery wings that beat against the air as it descended upon the city. The people screamed in terror as the creature attacked, its monstrous form tearing through them like a predator among prey. The streets became filled with chaos, blood, fire, and death as the city was destroyed. From the shadows, Dracula's voice echoed. It was cold, calculated, and filled with unrelenting hate. Commanding, kill everything you see. His command was clear, each word laced with dark power. Kill them all! And once Targovist has been made into a graveyard for my love, go forth into the country. Go now! Go to all the cities of Wallachia, Arges, Severin, Gressit, Chilia, Enisara. Go now and kill! The creatures scattered like wolves hunting their prey, their bloodlust insatiable. Kill for my love. Kill for the only true love I ever knew. Kill for the endless lifetime of hate before me. The monsters obeyed, wreaking havoc across the land, leaving nothing but death in their wake. The city of Targoviste, once a thriving hub of faith and life, was now a burning wasteland. Dracula's revenge was upon them, and no one was spared. The tavern in the small village. Inside the tavern, 2 drunken men sit at the bar, laughing and chatting as they drink. A lone figure sits quietly at a table in the corner. The door suddenly bursts open, and a terrified man rushes in, locking the door behind him. He announces that the horde is sweeping west, causing the room to fall silent. The men at the bar exchange worried glances, unsure if the horde will reach them. The stranger mentions that Gressit, a powerful city, is under threat, intensifying the tension. The conversation shifts to the great families of Gressit, and the mention of Vlad Dracula makes the atmosphere heavier with fear. One of the men quietly murmurs about the Belmonts, the infamous family of hunters, triggering a cold silence. The conversation ends with a bitter remark about how the Belmonts should have been killed, leaving the room filled with a sense of looming dread.